Hey guys, welcome to Connect with Katie. I'm so glad that you can join me. I just wanted to let you know the program that I use for my awesome podcast. It's called Anchor. This program is free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone and your computer. Also, will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Also, you can make money with no minimum listenership. Best thing is everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Hey guys, what's up? This is KT with the KT Talk Show. I'm so happy today to introduce to you my special guest, Lila. She is from South Illinois, and yes, we mean very south of Illinois. She is going to introduce herself. She is going to talk about where she's from, a few little things about her background, how she got where she is. We talk about her kids a little bit, and we're just having a good time. So please take a listen and let us know what you think. Thanks so much.
So I currently live in Middle America in a small Illinois suburb of St. Louis, Missouri. So St. Louis is the big city nearby, but I live on the Illinois side. There's a border between Illinois and Missouri for all of those who are geographically challenged like me. I live at the edge of Illinois and Missouri. So when I say I live in Illinois, people's minds go to Chicago, and I'm like, way south, way south.
Right, like pretty much Missouri almost, right?
Basically, yes. Yeah. So I can be in downtown St. Louis in 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you're very close.
I went to high school here. Before that, I lived in Chicago. Before that, I lived in Mississippi.
How did you like Chicago?
I loved the freedom that I felt living there. I lived in the hood. Like, I didn't live in the pretty part of Chicago. I didn't live on the Mile or anywhere near it.
Yeah.
I did live within walking distance of a beautiful suburb, so I did have that to look at. But no, I lived in like the hood. So it wasn't thrilling, but also I got to come and go as I pleased. I started my first business when I was 12, so I had income that was not dependent upon anybody outside of me. And the buses ran 24/7 every 10 or 15 minutes. So I could come and go as I pleased about the city.
So you're saying it wasn't like the best place ever and the best time ever, but you said you felt free at that time.
Yeah. I felt massive and immense freedom.
And then you moved down to Mississippi, and I'm assuming so when did you like bounce around like that? So you're from Missouri, right? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's backwards. So I was born in Mississippi.
Okay.
And I don't know how many people that are not of African descent living in America. Like, I don't know how many Black people in America or, non-Black people would know this, but a lot of the time Black families leave the South and they go to like St. Louis or Chicago or like wherever. And Chicago is where my family decided to go, except for one aunt who lives in St. Louis. So my mom was the baby of 13 live births. And so she was the last one to leave home. So all of my aunts and uncles had gone to Chicago and like set up life. And that's where my mom followed suit to, because there was literally nothing in our hometown. There was no advancement or growth available.
And how
like you couldn't even reproduce in my hometown because you were related to literally everybody. You had to like go to another town to get a partner.
Insane. See, I don't even think I've ever been to a town where I've literally known every single person. Like that would be a really wild experience.
Yeah.
So I think your story, because when we were talking on the phone and you were talking about being brought up, Southern Baptist and kind of the different transformations that you went through. I think
Hmm.
it's very unique. So would you mind like kind of sharing that
Yeah,
story? The
sure.
way that you
Um,
because like I said, I think it's really unique and not you are unique to the show in that way too, so I think it'd
okay,
be cool to share it.
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So the like Southern Baptist piece is not as legit as like when you see or hear about people who were like, our family was in church every Sunday and we were like this, and it wasn't that serious. We were such a small town, and the towns around us were so small that we shared ministers, so the minister traveled. So we had church like one Sunday a month.
Oh my gosh.
But my family was very committed to the label Christian.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was, I don't know, 22, 23, somewhere in there, and I started telling the people around me that I wasn't Christian anymore, my mom was like, but why though?
Right.
Even though my mom, like, so if you're Baptist, if you're not Baptist, let's say that, if you're not Baptist, then you don't understand that Baptists are about the most lenient Christian, like, methodology that there is. Like, our family drank and smoked and cussed and like the whole shebang. As long
Mm-hmm.
as you claimed Jesus, you were good. Off to heaven you go. Do your thing.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like super strict and indoctrinating kind of growing up experience, but I did grow up basically Christian. And then I decided to develop a relationship with a Pentecostal,
Mm-hmm.
which is very strict and demanding. And, there are wardrobe guidelines. Like, I gave away all my music because secular things were not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped like cutting and perming my hair. I stopped perming my hair because my hair was just not healthy. But I also stopped cutting it because like that was not a thing, and no jewelry unless it's like a wedding band and basic earrings, and no pants. It was a whole thing. And church was like 3 days a week.
Oh my gosh.
So there was like church on Sunday, and then there was a Bible study, and then there was another reason to go to church later on in the week. And I lived at church basically.
Oh my gosh.
And then I went from that to not that.
To not
Not identifying as Christian by any stretch of the imagination. I found the work of Abraham Hicks. And for those of you who don't know, Abraham is a group of channeled entities. So, unlike some people who channel like a single entity, this is like a collective of energy
okay.
that comes out of the mouth of Esther Hicks. So basically, she's being possessed, but it's not quite possession because she's letting herself be this vessel for this energy to come through.
Wow.
And everything that they said made sense to me. And I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, yeah, like your feelings are really all that matter. And your feelings do really create your reality. And if you can manage your feelings, then you can really just be happy no matter what's going on in your world. But the happier you are, the better your life gets. Oh, yeah, I love this and I dig this. And like, this is my jam now. And the people
Mm-hmm.
around me were like, but you're not Christian anymore.
Like, but so what does that mean that you like what do you claim yourself as now, right?
Yeah, they were like, you took off your label, you got out of your box. Like, what's going on? We are not okay. Least of all, my poor Pentecostal husband at the time was just like, but, and I'm like, no,
Yeah,
not
like
that
it's not
anymore.
yeah, exactly. Like that's not happening anymore. Well,
Um, but the healing was really sort of a separate. It seemed like a separate journey. So I started down this path on the personal development side, and the spiritual side just happened to be a part of who I am. Does that make sense?
right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Definitely.
So I was 12 when I realized that my family's problems were theirs,
Mm-hmm.
particularly my mom's. So I'm listening to my mom tell this story for like the 90 millionth time about how my dad cheated on her when she was pregnant with me. And so she broke up with his. Can I cuss?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I was like, I should have
Yeah.
asked this beforehand. She
Yeah.
broke up with the lying, cheating asshole that was my father. And then by the time I was 6 months old, she was already pregnant with my brother. And by the time she was 8 months pregnant with my brother, she found out that his dad was cheating on her.
Oh
So
goodness.
she broke up with him, got her tubes tied, so no more babies by different dudes. But my
Yeah.
mom left this planet at 47 years old in a relationship with a man that was married to somebody else.
Oh goodness sakes.
Right. So at 12, I'm hearing this story and I'm thinking, it's you, mom. You are the common denominator. These two random dudes from nowhere, Mississippi did not decide, let's knock her up and then screw her over. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't the case.
No.
So in that moment, I made a decision that I was not going to do that. I was going to do all of the healing I needed to do with one person so that
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a bunch of babies by a bunch of dudes. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't, because every time you start over in another relationship, you basically like regress your progress because then you have to go through a honeymoon phase all over again. And then you have to learn the things that are still unhealed from the last relationship. And then you get to dive in. Whereas, like, when you do it all with one person, you don't have to interrupt the healing in the process.
Exactly. No, I totally agree with that.
So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that's what I was ordering, but it was, and it happened. And my ex husband showed up literally 2 years later. So I met him 2 months, no, a month before my 15th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And he was everything that I needed to heal: abandonment, betrayal, neglect, all the things. I
Mm-hmm.
remember being pregnant with my 14-year-old and looking at him and going, I married my mother.
Oh no.
Like, literally every problem I had with my mother showed up in my marriage. I was like, you
Mm-hmm.
don't listen to me. You don't pay attention to me. You don't really consider me. You just take me for granted and like take for granted that I'm gonna be here and love you.
Mm-hmm.
And those were all of the things I had going on with my mom.
Wow. See, and that's something that I'm glad that you brought that. You're not, you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
I'm glad that you brought that particular moment up because I think a lot of people, or most people, I don't want to point any fingers because I'm not that person, but a lot of people are closed-minded in that sense because when they're in a relationship, they tend to blame the other person or, and not really reflect on, where how they could have attracted that person into their life, right? In a way,
Mm-hmm.
because I know, like you said, it's like your mother, and you don't like intentionally do it, but
No.
and like you were saying, you had to go through that and be in that relationship. From what I understand, you're saying is to heal from all those things that, you needed to heal from your past, right?
Yes.
And, right. And I don't, and that's why I'm saying I'm think that is kind of the same thing that I did when I was in my past relationships. I was with just some weird people and when I go back and think about it, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense because that's how, my mom or my dad was or you know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And until we heal that, until we start choosing differently and behaving and showing up differently in those experiences. And this is true of platonic relationships as well as romantic relationships.
Mhm.
Until we start doing that healing work, we'll just keep repeating that
Yeah.
experience because our
Mhm.
soul came for a purpose. Like, I like to think of Earth as a school, and our soul has an agenda or a purpose.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
so I always am like, I was drunk, clearly drunk when I was picking out my Earth school classes. Because I looked at it and was like, ooh, okay, so I want to always have like four problems. And to date, whenever there's a thing, it's not like, oh, your relationship's falling apart and you're getting divorced. It's, oh, your relationship's falling apart and you're getting divorced. And you are uprooting your children and moving them across country to a different location to live. And for the first time in your life, really, as an adult, grown ass woman with two children, you are now depending on other people for your survival, which I haven't ever felt like that was a thing prior to that. And oh,
Hmm.
by the way, you're pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
Like, wait, what?
Right. What just happened?
Or, yeah, or like fast forward 3 years and I was being evicted from my apartment. I had lost my job. The day that I lost my job, I totaled my car and my boyfriend broke up with me. And I didn't know it at the time, but my mom was also dying. And so, like, sometime in that month, I found out exactly how sick my mom was. I still didn't know she was dying, but I found out how sick she was. So I had like all of those things brewing at one time. So it's either like sunshine and roses in my world, or it's like, what the fuck is this? It's
Yeah,
like
like
nine problems.
that's just, and that was just talking to this guy, Tracy, yesterday, and we were literally just talking about how, and you and I even talked about this, how we go through multiple transformations and
Mm-hmm.
have to be aware of what we're doing and our surroundings and, how we're presenting ourselves, how we're speaking, all those things. But we were also, like the roller coaster of life. Like it's never, it gets really exciting. We have fun and we're going here and we're going there, and then whoosh, like something
Mm-hmm.
smacks you in the face, and then you fall down and you get back up and then you're at the top and then you're at the bottom. It's just
Yeah.
that's just how it's gonna be. And some of us have, because my thing is always like the threes. Like I always have I mean, to be honest with you, I think I believed in that a little bit too much. So I started to think that bad things were going to happen just all the time. And then I
Mm-hmm.
started, giving more positive, or not giving, bringing more positive in my life and thinking, okay, wait a second, like your life doesn't suck. Like turn your attitude around, you know what I mean, and get it together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, and then you realize when these quote unquote bad things happen to you, it's actually just some sort of lesson, and it's some sort of way that you're transforming and healing along the way, whether it seems like
Absolutely.
right. So
Yeah, I like to look at them as opportunities versus lessons.
yeah, right,
Um,
definitely, yeah, that's another way.
yeah,
Yeah, sure, for sure.
I look at them as like opportunities for healing and opportunities for growth.
Yes, definitely.
And it's, I say it's a fun time, and people are like, so you're an insane person. um, and what I mean by it's a fun time is that if I so my first husband lied and cheated like the entire relationship and over dumb shit for no reason. Like there was one girl that I knew he was cheating on me with her because so we were in high school. She literally told everyone in our graduating class, like we have the same friend circle. So she just went around the circle bragging about sleeping with
Oh my
my
goodness.
boyfriend who like shared a space with me. I moved out at own apartment when I was 17. It's like my boyfriend who shared a space with me, who like all of these things, and she's like bragging about sleeping with him. That's that's cute. So I confronted them both together, and she denied it like in the conversation, and then she came back later and denied it like separately. Um, and then 7 years later, 7 whole years later, he was like, yeah, I had sex with her. I was like, I know you did. Like, there was no reason for you to lie to me about it then. Do you feel better getting it off your chest?
Right, like that I
Um,
already knew. Right.
yeah. But the reason that I say it's a good time is because when that healed, when I finally understood why I was being lied to and I resolved that like in my system, and I'll explain how I did that. But once that's happened, I have never bought a lie since then. I won't say that I haven't been lied to since,
Mm-hmm.
but I've never bought a lie since then. I've had guys tell me like, "Oh, one guy go, "Oh no, I broke up with her. Like we're not together. All of these things." I was like, "You're full of shit, but I really want to have sex with you, so let's go." He was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, sure."
That's awesome.
But which is vastly different from me buying the lie or like trying to convince him to tell me the truth, which is what I went through in my first marriage. I'm like, why are you lying to me? Like, you don't have to lie to me. Just like, please tell me the truth. And I finally got to the space where I was like, dude, I don't care, do you? But when I say I healed it, like this is what it looked like for me because I looked at every angle of this I could possibly look at. So I hope this is helpful to someone listening. When you start like studying law of attraction and you hear things like you attract who you are, it mistakenly causes the person to assume that they are a liar if people are lying to them. And my course correct was to become overly honest. Like I was honest to a fault. I talked myself out of things and got myself into trouble that I would otherwise not have been in if I wasn't so honest. And one day it occurred to me that there was a thought in my subconscious mind that men lie.
I could see that.
And because that lived in my head, I really couldn't get the truth out of my ex, no matter how much he wanted to tell me the truth, because it couldn't get past that filter.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in that moment of realizing that that's what was going on in my head, I just turned the lens and I started looking at men who I thought were honest. Now, some of them were real life, tangible people, like my father in law and one of my former brother in laws.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I consider those men to be honest men. Like, I do not consider them to be people that would ever lie to their wives or anything like that. And then I started choosing from the collective. I know nothing about TD Jakes' relationship, but I assumed that his wife would not put up with being lied to. Same thing with Joel and Victoria Osteen. Like I just assumed that Joel is an honest dude. And so I put those examples into my subconscious and I convinced myself that there are honest men in the world. And that was the end of me buying live.
Oh. Well, I mean, that's definitely a very unique approach. I haven't even heard anybody do it like that, and that's I feel like that's really powerful too because once you train your mind to, have those thoughts and believe in those things, it's like you can't really go back, right? Because you've been able to train. I mean, you can. I'm sure you could,
Yeah,
but you're a
absolutely.
lot stronger in those relationships.
Absolutely. So the reason that I work the way that I do is because, like, yes, you want to train your mind, and that's important, but also, like, emotions and energies get stuck in, like, our energetic systems and our energetic bodies as well. And so, my approach is to address both. So, we're not just like clearing your chakras or pulling traumas out of your energy body, because that's great. But then, if you leave the session and you go back to thinking about being lied to, being cheated on, whatever that pain was that you brought into the session. Like my hip hurt before I had this session, and now my hip doesn't hurt anymore. But if you go back into the thought patterns that had that pain show up in your body in the first place, you're just going to keep reliving that experience. So we do both. We pull it from the energetic body, and then we give you new thoughts and train your system into new feelings so that you can like fully, truly, completely, and holistically create a new reality. So continue to do like the mental work of choosing new thoughts
Mm-hmm.
we will continue to have those experiences. That pain will come back into your hip. You will, not to say that doing the energy work and like seeing a coach or seeing a therapist or seeing a healer will stop your partner from cheating on you. It won't. It'll change how you respond in the experience.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so the type of, can we, I want to talk about that a little bit. So the type
Yep.
of healing that you decided to take a drink, the type of healing that you do, how do you, can you explain that just like a little bit more in detail, just a few minutes on maybe like, for example, I've been working on my own hip pain, right? So through like the dance meditation, I've been trying to kind of pinpoint areas of my body that have been bothering me. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, for example, I was to come to you and I was like, I'm having a lot of, aches and pains like in my hips. Like, what is something, how do you usually, what is your approach to that? Like what you were just talking about, how you heal people. I'm just interested.
So here is the delicious and terrible part. I am a Mary Poppins bag of healing arts tools
I love
because I
that.
have been doing this for 24 years.
That's amazing.
I I don't know. I cannot tell the masses what's going to work for them.
Oh, of
What
course,
would
of course.
happen is into your energy,
Mm-hmm.
and I would connect into your energy, and I would ask what's what's appropriate for you.
Okay.
And so it could be that we walk through the emotions that may
Mm-hmm.
be causing hip pain. It could be that I do some energy healing on you. And in the energy healing realm, it could be that we do cellular memory, which releases
Mm-hmm.
the energy that's stuck in the cells and allows your body to do what it's supposed to do, like the way it's supposed to do it. It could be that. It could be what is my own version of energy healing. Like, kind of, I came here with this. I had this as a part
Mm-hmm.
of who I was before I ever knew what energy healing was.
Mm-hmm.
And I call that golden light because whenever I would do the work, I would see a golden light. And everyone's light is a different color, which I also love.
Yeah, that's
So
true. That's true. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So it would depend on what each individual's system required.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. And that the cell, tell me what the is it what it was it cell memory or cell, what did you call that?
Cellular memory.
Cellular memory. I remember Jenny bringing that up because
Hmm.
I did a little, I did a little call with her and she was talking about that and that was something that I was really interested in because I really didn't know much about that at all, like how that
Oh,
works
cool.
and how to work through it. So what is can you talk about that a little bit too? Because I'm curious about that, if you don't mind.
So yeah, absolutely. Our emotions, happy or unhappy, live in our bodies a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to use like a broad example. Um, I have a lot of PTSD responses to just like general basic things. But it would make sense that that would be the case for me because my family is part of the enslaved Africans in America. So, like, our ancestors were enslaved. That's going to leave trauma. That leaves
Of
trauma
course.
in the cells. And then when you think about it this way, I tell my children this just so that I can creep them out. I told my daughter, I was like, Lillian, at one point you were inside your grandma's tummy. And she looked at me, like, even as an adolescent, she looked at me and was like, "Why are you like this? Why do you tell me things that make my brain hurt?" But girls are born with all of their eggs.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, when I was like fully developed as a fetus inside my mom, my
Mm-hmm.
kiddos were all in there. So all
Yeah.
of my
Okay.
mom's thoughts, feelings, emotions would
Makes
be
sense.
inside my children's cells.
Okay. I get what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. The same is true for, just to make it like a less macro experience. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say you I don't know, somebody steps on your toe heals, but like the next time, and this person is like rude and disrespectful and they don't give you any regard and they don't apologize, and it is just the cherry on a shitty day Sunday.
Mm.
So the next time somebody is rude, your toe might throb. The next time somebody is
Okay.
disrespectful, your toe might throb because you have unconsciously rolled all of that into that area of your body. And so
Mhm.
energetically, we would disrupt that. We would remove like the cellular memories that are stored in that toe,
Mm-hmm.
allowing you to experience those experiences without having a physical reaction in your body.
Hmm.
So the same might be true with your hip.
Yeah.
Another way that shows up in a rather indirect way is our bodies tend to, I like, there are emotions tied to different body parts. So
Yeah,
I'm
that
going to
makes
use
sense.
the back for an example.
Mm-hmm.
So the back is our foundation, it's our support.
Yeah.
And so people who have like money problems tend to have low back pain. People who don't feel like they are supported by their family or society or whatever tend to have upper back pain. Or
Hmm.
people who feel heavily burdened, they'll have upper
Mm-hmm.
back pain or they'll have shoulder pain. It's
Okay.
like that whole like carrying the world on your shoulders.
Hmm.
People who have concerns about like their future and moving forward in life will have knee pain.
Hmm. Makes that makes a lot of sense when you talk about it in that sense, like when you're saying like your foundation, the support and your back and
Mm-hmm.
feeling that especially on your lower back, like feeling that pressure when you're not setting a foundation for yourself, right? Is that kind of like what that
Or
is?
if
Or
you didn't have a foundation created for you.
okay.
So
Okay.
like some of us didn't have, mm, I'm going to roll with this and hope it makes sense.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. Let's do it.
Welcome to being deeply connected to source.
Yeah.
So we were talking about like emotional regulation, and
Hmm.
I am teaching my children like broad spectrum emotions, and not just broad
Okay.
spectrum emotions, but like how to manage those emotions. So
Yeah.
my 12-year-old was born a biter and a hitter. He didn't have hitting demonstrated to him because we don't hit at our house.
Hmm.
But his knee jerk reaction was, I'm gonna punch you, I'm gonna knock you over, and if you are on the ground with me, I'm probably gonna bite
Hmm.
you. And so I had to teach him, not train him out of who he is. Like, if you're a hitter, fine, hit pillows. We have a
Hmm.
punching bag in the garage. Go hit the punching bag. It's fine. So with that, like the foundation of like they're growing up with this because they're being taught this is how, like, this is what you're probably feeling. Does it feel like this in your body? Are these thoughts in your head? How do you want to get it out of your body? Like, they're being taught emotional regulation. I, on the other hand, didn't have that foundation.
Right. So
So
I get what
I
you're
am
saying.
a thrower and I break things.
Mm-hmm.
Like at some point in my life, probably in the near future, because real estate's about to get real cheap, I am going to open rage rooms where I will just like go to thrift
Oh
stores
my
and
God.
buy
Yeah.
plates. Yeah, buy
Yeah.
plates and pillows and like all sorts of things. There will be punching bags in there, but there will be things that you can break because the sound of smashing plates
Amazing.
soothes my soul.
I totally get that. I totally, totally get that. I saw that episode. Did you see Working Moms? Did you watch that by
No,
chance? Okay, well,
no.
I don't usually watch TV at all, but I just happened to
Mhm.
be, watching Netflix and I watched this episode and there was an episode where they had a wrecking room, like a room where you could
Mhm.
take a sledgehammer and smash all the
Yes.
plates, and the china
Yes.
glasses, and I'm like, that is the
Yep.
coolest thing ever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It will be a reality in my life.
Have
But
to
so anyway,
do.
I didn't have that foundation because I was taught that anger was not an acceptable emotion in my family out of children. The adults
Hmm.
can be angry, the children cannot. So
Hmm.
I learned that my anger was inappropriate and not okay. So we have very different foundations, my children and I. Now, I've reached a point because I've had to re-parent and re-educate and heal myself where I can be like, I'm gonna go sit in the car, roll the windows up, and scream at the top of my lungs. I'm fine.
Hmm.
Or if I'm angry and I'm just like, "Rah," I'll be like
Yeah.
"Rah," around the house. I have
Yeah.
learned to tell my children, I am angry, but I'm not angry with you. And, even if I'm angry at you, don't take it personally. It's not you that I'm angry with.
Yeah.
And that's led to like a whole different dynamic with them. So we have different foundations. So if we were not given a foundation of like safety and security and autonomy,
Hmm.
that'll show up as like upper back pain. Or if we haven't created it for ourselves, because sometimes we're given it, like my children are being given an emotional foundation of
Hmm.
regulation and emotional intelligence. And sometimes we have to create it for ourselves, like I've had to do for myself.
Yeah. No, I was just, I was more curious because mine is a lower back pain, but I felt more like I didn't have the foundation because of kind of how I was brought up, just because my
Mm-hmm.
parents weren't financially stable. There was a lot of, controlling negative emotions going around. So, I think but it always fluctuates from the top to the bottom, just depending on, the day or what I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
or who I'm surrounding myself with. So it makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense when you say the toe thing, when you said, like that person didn't say anything. And so you kind of, you took it personally. So then when that kind of stuff happens to you again, that body part hurts. So that does make
Mm-hmm.
a lot of sense, which is crazy it's kind of cool to think about it like that now and like that. And then that helps me break it down and, helps me find ways to deal with things I face on a day-to-day basis. So,
Yeah.
so I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I did want the one last thing that I did for sure want you to talk about was your healing happy hour because I wanted everybody to know about that, how they can get connected with you, and and how often you do it a week, and then I can have your link dropped in the description so people can check it out.
Okay. So I am terrible in that healing happy hour is kind of a pop-up experience. It
Okay,
was last week and it
sorry.
was also this morning. Oh no, no worries. It was last week and it was also this morning,
Hmm.
but it was this morning because I moved it from next week to this morning
Okay.
because I didn't think I would have the energy for it next week. So I know that there won't be a happy hour for the next there might not be a happy hour for the next 2 weeks because I have a lot of
Okay.
transition coming up.
Hmm.
I'm releasing
Same.
my day job, which I'm very excited about,
Oh my gosh, that's so
and I'm bringing on a new client.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I brought on a new client, so I started the onboarding process with a new client last week, and I will start officially on the 17th with a new client. I do not know what my time or energy is going to be like,
Mm-hmm.
so I really wanted to protect that.
Yeah, of course.
And so there isn't a happy hour scheduled at the moment.
Okay.
Um, but I will tell people how they can find me and connect with me, and then they can find out when the next happy hour is going to be. So,
Yeah.
happy hour is a group channeled energy healing. I the format's almost never the same.
Which is fun.
Um, yeah, which is a party because
Yeah.
it's channeled. So
Yes.
I'm like, hey guys, I'm here. What are we doing today?
Yeah. Awesome. Going with the flow.
Yeah, and my cosmic team shows up and they're like, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. For instance, I typically, in the energy of the healing, I call for the guardian angels, the ancestors, and the spirit team, the spirit guides. And last week, I called on the fairy realm. That's never
Mm,
happened before. I was like, what? Okay, there's fairies here. They're helping out. I don't know what they're going to be doing. We're going to roll with it.
that's amazing.
Um, yeah, it was pretty delicious. Today,
I love it.
they, um, today we did more of an energy infusion because the topic was portaling our potency.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, we're just going to call back our power from all of the places that we have left it, but not just in this lifetime, but like in every timeline we've been on where we've
All right.
left and abandoned our power. We're just going to call it back to us. And then we're going to seal that in. And then I warned people, I was like, if you explode on people in the next 36 hours, blame it on me. Because
My bad.
it might happen. Yeah.
That's why
Um,
that's why you're the badass healing artist, right?
well, part of it is
No,
like
I'm just-
the
yeah.
speed with which
Yeah.
things happen, but also like how dynamic. When I say like I'm a Mary Poppins bag of healing arts tools,
And you just
I am
whip it out.
master attuned at Reiki. Yeah, I am master attuned at Reiki, but I also don't do Reiki because I don't have any patience for the protocol that Reiki is. And
I
I don't
get
want to take an
that.
hour of your time for something that could take 15 minutes.
I get that. I get that for sure.
Yeah. And if I'm in a session with you and your chakras want to be healed, I don't want to be like, oh, well, this is a Reiki session, so I'm not going to touch your chakras because Reiki and chakras are separate systems.
Oh, okay.
And so I want to be able to do whatever it is that I want to do in the session. And I don't want to be bound by like certain protocols.
Right. That's yeah,
And so
that's
that's how the title of Badass Healing Artist came about.
love it. I think it's dope. I love
Yeah.
I
So
love
one
news. Delicious.
Oh, thank you. And so after the group healing, I then stopped the recording. So if people RSVP through Eventbrite, which is
Hmm.
how like I let people know that another healing or another happy hour is coming up. When people RSVP, then they get the recording afterward. But once I stop the recording, then I open it up for laser healings and laser coachings. I've stopped calling them mini because
Hmm.
when I say mini healings, then later people are like, there was nothing mini about that. And I'm like, oh,
Whoops.
but it was like 2 minutes. And they're like, yeah, that 2 minutes changed my life. And I'm like, okay.
Well, that was the
So I've
point,
started calling
right?
them laser. That really was the point.
Oh,
So I've
okay.
just started calling them laser healings.
I'm so happy that you said that because I was literally just about to ask you, is that why you call it laser? Because it's quick.
Mhm. Yes. So I really took that term from the coaching community because there's like laser coaching where
Yeah, I
people would
saw
do like
that. Hmm.
live group coaching calls and they would do like, okay, you got 5 minutes. Like you get 5 minutes and in that
Hmm.
5 minutes we'll get you through as much of the process as we can. And then if you want and need more time after that, then you can book a session.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't roll like that. I give people as much time as is required just because
Oh, okay.
spirit and time,
Of course.
like spirit's like, I don't have a clock.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but we do. Can you like wrap this up? It's been 2.5 hours.
I feel the same way sometimes. I'm like, come on. Like, can you just be on my
Yes.
side for just this time right now? I guess.
Yes.
Awesome.
So that's happy hour. It
Yeah.
is about 20 minutes of a group healing, and then it's another 40 minutes of like the floor is yours. Bring what you have. Um, and I also love that I do not have a problem telling people like that's not my wheelhouse. I'll find you somebody, but
Yeah.
that's not for me to
Yeah.
answer for you.
That's awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
and you can still be that person that can be a resource or a guide. I can't help you, but this person can. So it's good that you can
absolutely.
change.
Yeah, somebody asked an astrology question today, and I was like, I am not an astrologer. I have no idea what
Yeah,
Lionsgate is, but
oh,
it's
me.
powerful energy, and we're gonna harness it.
That's pretty dope. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Well,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, girl, I don't have anything else for you. And I mean, I don't even know how long we went. Whatever. It was fun. I'm glad we talked about what we talked about. I think that you and I should do some more episodes together. We'll come up with some cool stuff to talk about. 'Cause
I am available for that. This has been a blast.
yes, I love it. I love it so much. You are so fun. You're a good time.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And if we can ever get our lives together to have guests, then we would love to have you on Rain Radio, I'm sure.
Yeah, oh my gosh, of course. I'm always down. I'm the same type of person where I'm like, I go with the flow. Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, please contact me at connectionswithkt.com, or you can get me at KT Talk Show. That's at Facebook at KT Talk Show. Thanks so much, guys.